Welcome to the Storyteller's Mind Movie Makers. Hosted by Melissa Reeves, this podcast explores the art and science of stories that are felt, not just told. Ready to turn your message into superpower and ignite impact? Let's dive in on today's episode.
Well, welcome back to the Storyteller's Mind Movie Makers. I'm Melissa, and I am here to help you out there figure out how to be amazing public speakers. And let's look at the science to the art form of what makes really great speakers. Now, today we have a special guest. You can see here we have two young men, Justin and Jacob Rivera, and they are founders, believe it or not, of an organization called LevelTheFieldSports.org. And we had the pleasure of getting to know each other through the Seattle Sports Commission's awards banquet that just happened about a month ago. So Justin and Jacob, say hello. Let us know a little bit about yourself, your age, and let's just say hello to the audience.
Hello, everyone. My name is Justin Rivera. I'm 16 years old. I'm a sophomore. I love playing sports. I play soccer, golf, I snowboard, and I'm a founder of Level the Field Sports.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jacob Rivera. I'm 14 years old. I'm in 8th grade. I also love playing sports, soccer, baseball, basketball, occasionally snowboarding. And I'm also
Okay.
a founder of Level the Field Sports.
All right. Yeah, you guys are busy and athletic. That's awesome. But this also, tell us a little bit about Level the Field Sports in your words. What is it that you focus on? And then we'll talk a little bit about like what happened and how this even came about. So what's it like on a day-to-day basis? What do you do?
So, on a day-to-day basis, we're usually pretty busy, responding to a lot of people, not only just, well, I guess I'll give a real world example. Just today, I've had to respond to a bunch of people over at the Windermere Foundation regarding grants and funding. So it's a lot of, we send out a lot of emails and talk to a lot of people about fundraising and donation.
And also, there's a lot of planning involved. For example, last Friday, we actually had a gear drive at Lowell Elementary. And before that, it took a lot of planning and coordination with the school, the Bush School, to help the gear drive be able to have enough material and equipment needed to donate to Lowell Elementary.
All right. So just to fill in a little bit, you are providing funding and equipment to underserved communities because not everyone can afford the exuberant fees that being on a soccer team or being on a softball team or a baseball team, the gear, the equipment. What have you learned about how much that can cost to a family?
Well, we know from experience it's really expensive, right? And we try to focus mainly helping kids kindergarten through 5th grade because we're sort of focusing on the equality aspect of it, right? Like you have a kid who's starting out playing sports in kindergarten, maybe having some private training and playing on a club team. And so that kid is going to have a much higher advantage than somebody who joins in middle school, who plays sports in middle school, because usually middle schools and high schools offer sports for their students. And that kid who's joining fresh from no experience is going to be at a major disadvantage from the kid who's had years and years of practice. And all that practice costs money, and it can rack up to tens of thousands of dollars over time. So
Yeah.
we try to focus on providing funds to underserved kids and the chance and opportunities to play sports so they're not at a higher disadvantage when they get to middle school and high school.
And also, lots of kids have a passion for sports, but don't realize it because they don't have the opportunity or equipment or the funds to be able to play sports. So we help them out so they can realize their passion and really enjoy sports while they're young and continue to enjoy it throughout their school career.
Why? Why should we care about a kid playing sports on a team level? What does sports do for kids other than just have fun?
Sports can be so incredibly important to many people's lives. I mean, whenever I think about it, I just think, are we helping the next, Messi or Ronaldo, right? Could we be giving a kid a chance who's going to be great someday? And just that's an extreme case, and that's just a case that gives me hope. But in reality, sports are super, super good for kids, with the health aspect and the social aspect, really good thing that kids can participate in.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely early leadership skills. So learning to work together and it's not just about yourself. Even though that I'm sure that happens. You got the big egos that could probably develop, but even the biggest ego still needs to know how to work with other people for the team, you know. What do they say?
Exactly.
There's no I in the word team.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys, so you're soccer players, baseball, skiing, golf, love golf. Now
Right.
golf's more of a solo, that's kind of a well, you're on a golf team? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I play for my high school golf team.
Okay. That's a game, and that's the other thing is that there's a game that you're going to get very good at very young. I actually am weirdly good at golf because I was taught when I was tiny, like, I was 6 years old, and someone had a golf ball with a little string on it, and I'd hit it, and then, I'd practice in the backyard. But it had an imprint on me. And the thing about golf is it's an amazing sport that you can play throughout your entire life. People go out on golf courses and do business, and people do it after they retire. I mean, it is one of those games that you can stick with. Unlike some other sports. Some sports, they're so physically hard, like football. Like I think when you retire from football, you have
Yeah.
to retire. The body can only take so much. And maybe baseball. Do you think baseball could be one? Like
Yeah,
rotator cups and
but
stuff
I
like
would
that?
assume.
Yeah, yeah, but it's really just great though that you can see this. So, what has it done for you to as far as your own leadership skills, being active in sports like that? What have you learned about yourself as a leader?
I feel like they learned that I have the skills to lead because I don't I'm the type of person that doesn't really come off as a leader. I think I'm just sometimes when it comes to sports, I'm background character. But if I really sports like collaborating with your team and talking to people and just really getting to know everybody, it gives you the confidence to help you lead and it makes you more comfortable and the skills you develop from being comfortable and with the people you know, you can take those skills and apply it to a situation that takes you out of your comfort zone. And it just really helps you with that.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna answer like it's taught me the foundation and like the basis for what a leader is, so and I mainly find this significant in soccer. So a lot a lot of times people are really hard on themselves regardless of what sport they're playing. And so my team captains will always make sure that they're holding us accountable to trying in practice as well as keeping positivity, keeping a good morale. I mean, it's just a really important role to have in soccer and like being a leader in sports in general is a really powerful thing that you can be. And I just think the positivity and the accountability and the responsibility that comes with being a leader in sports is really important.
Yeah. And the fact that you started a nonprofit. Let's talk about that. You started this nonprofit to help these kids because you saw your friend. We'll talk about that story a little bit because that ended up going into your speech. So I'll set the stage on that one, literally. They were honored by the Seattle Sports Commission for the Most Inspired Youth Award, and they honored levelthefieldsports.org, and we learned that this all came to its own fruition when you were 8 and 7 years old. So tell us a little bit about, like, how this even came into being.
So it all started back on this fateful day in 2018 where Jacob and I were playing soccer and one of our teammates was well, first of all, the ref stopped the game and he walked over to one of our teammates and he benched him immediately. And so our initial reaction, or my initial reaction, was I was super, super confused and I didn't know what was happening. And then later we figured out that he couldn't play because he didn't pay his team dues on time. And it sort of struck me as something new because I'd never grasped this idea of having to pay to play sports. And that was something that was just so life changing for me. So we wanted to make a difference. And from that day on, we started Level the Field Sports to help kids who couldn't afford to play sports. pay to
That's
play sports.
amazing. That's amazing. I mean, you're 8 and 7 and you have that much awareness of what's going on, in the world. That's incredibly impressive. Okay? So that awareness is something may it always shine bright as you grow up more and more into this world because we need you. That's the kind of togetherness that I believe in too. I call it heart-led leadership. And it goes so much further than ego-led leadership. And you are completely a heart-led leadership, and including your parents, who I know are very, very involved in helping you run the program, getting sponsors, and on top of that, driving you to all your practices and whatnot. So a shout out to Nancy and to Diego, who are the proud parents of this organization, and the sons. So that's really cool. Yeah, so we inserted that. So it's a big night. It's a big night. You got 3 minutes, and the way you did it was what I would call a duet. And you were telling the story with more detail than what we just did. We did a nice little summary. Justin started it off, and then Jacob would add, and then Justin would take and you add. Tell me about the process, because that took some work between us to have happen. First off, what was your thought where you're like, you got a speech coach? Like what's that going to be? What was your attitude walking into the work before we even did it? And then what did you learn as we were working together?
Well, my initial reaction was I was sort of surprised. I didn't think we'd be getting a speech coach. Like that was pretty cool when I first figured that out. But then along the journey of creating a speech, we learned so many new things, like learning to talk naturally, like and raw is so much better than talking in like a sort of fake like tone, the
Yeah.
way like most speeches are spoken.
Hmm.
And I just along the way, I thought, wow, this is something that is so new to me, but it sounds super good. It sounds like it's coming from the heart and it's actually authentic. So that's one thing that I learned.
Good.
And for me,
Good.
before learning how to speak naturally and raw, I would just try to speed through speech because I always had nerves speaking in front of people. But you helped me slow down and kind of really embrace the moment. And because of so much practice and visualizing it as a conversation rather than a presentation, I learned to slow down and just visualize it as if I was just talking to another person rather than a whole crowd, which really
Yeah.
helped.
Good. That's awesome. I remember that specific rehearsal that we had. So I call it rehearsal. You guys will call it practice. Same thing. We're getting
Mm.
together. But yeah, so to the audience out there, we learned that a lot of people, and this is just a part of the iterations that you're going through when you're preparing to be in a public speaking situation. It's going to go from really rough and gritty where you're trying to find the stories, trying to refine. And we did that. We're going in and saying, let's make sure that the thank you portion is at the end instead of throughout the whole thing. Like there was just cleanup that we were doing once we had the structure of what we were going to say. But it's common for me to see when someone is reading that monotone sound that Justin was kind of referring to. It's like, I am reading and I am going like this. It's your turn now, and that was happening. But that's okay because you were still getting the content in your ownership, right? And then once you got the content, once you knew, like, I like what we're saying, I like how we're going to say it, then I said to you, talk to me as if we're at a coffee shop and you're just telling your story. And that's when it does become a more natural sound. How do you think the audience responds when someone is speaking more naturally, even though it might be memorized? It might be a memorized speech, which yours was. You did come off very natural. Do you think that that works for the audience?
100%. I mean, if it's a conversation, right, then people are going to be listening and retaining what you're saying, right? But if somebody's just talking at you, then they're not going to be really retaining it. They could be listening, but they're not going to be retaining it.
And
Right.
it feels more engaging as if you're a part of it, like you're being talked to rather than just hearing something that's not authentic and memorized.
Right, right. And there was times I was listening to the audience and what I was very impressed with and very thrilled for, and I wasn't surprised though, because I knew you were doing the work. I knew you were practicing. Practice, and again, not to be perfect, but to be comfortable, to know what you're going to say. So if something happens, a dog runs across the stage, you're not going to be completely thrown by it because you know your content. So good job, guys. I know that you were committed to that, and that also will always serve you. It will always serve you. There were a few people that I've seen in my day that get up there and go, I'm going to wing it. And that's not necessarily the best move. And I'm a professional improviser. I could actually wing something probably a little bit better than others might because I'm trained to wing things, right? That's what improv's about. But when you're doing a formal speech and it's a big night, I mean, people are dressed up. There were 1,000 people in that room. What was your thought when you walked up on stage? Because we visualized it. I was like, every rehearsal, I was like, okay, you're going to be here. You're going to hear clinking of plates and glasses, and people are going to be, you're going to hear a little low hum of people talking, but they are listening to you. Did that help you?
I mean, I guess yes and no. Well, I mean, it's complicated in in my case, because I really, really tried not to think about like the audience. You know, I was just focusing on my coach tells me this: don't focus on the game, focus on your game. So I'm mainly focusing on how I'm doing, and if I'm performing to how I think if I'm performing to the standard that I want to be performing at, then I know that it's just gonna come out flawlessly. And that's sort of how I thought about this speech. Was I wasn't really thinking about what other people were seeing. I was mainly thinking about what I was seeing, and I was seeing myself and my brother delivering a speech, and I wasn't thinking about the thousands of eyes that were seeing
Okay.
it.
I
I love
agree
that.
with Justin, but if I'm gonna be honest, the lights shining in my eyes kind of help me not look at the audience and kinda just help me focus on my own speech.
I know, there's a little comfort to that, isn't there? You're like,
Yeah.
"I can't see anything, so I have nothing really to be nervous about." You hear it mostly, because so when we were practicing on that, I talked about the sounds. And this is a tip to everyone out there who's listening. You probably will not be able to see the audience in a situation like that because the lights are so bright. So that can be a relief. So that's why the practice and just but trying to be in the room before you're actually in the room can be very powerful. I know athletes do that before a game. They see themselves on the field, and they see themselves catching the ball and kicking and scoring and doing all that stuff. So same thing. I think it's applicable to everything. And so then what did it do with all of that preparation that you mentally were doing and physically practicing? What did it do for your confidence when you walked up on the stage?
But totally helped. I mean, if I were to, like you were saying earlier, even if I had the training to improv, I don't think I would deliver it in a way that would make it satisfying for me. But being prepared and getting to work with a speech coach totally boosted my confidence. It made it so easy.
I agree. In fact, I think knowing the whole foundation of the speech really helped me. I think I could have added on to a few things just coming up on my own, but I really knew everything because of lots of repetition and practice to
Yeah.
really make it authentic.
Good. Oh, well, I remember, like, afterwards, because it's a buzz, it's going, and I think it was you, Jacob, that said, "I didn't even feel nervous."
Yeah, yeah.
It was
I didn't even feel nervous. I'm like, that is awesome, because that means that you've controlled the energy, but you probably felt something in your stomach. I know that your presenter, Tom Gorman, was talking to you all before you got on stage. He was very impressed with you, and he felt like he could relate to your story because he was a tennis player, and he had a similar situation where a tennis organization saw his talent, and then he couldn't afford the dues. And back then it was $3.10. And if they hadn't given him a scholarship, he would not have gone on to be a tennis champion that he traveled the globe doing if that hadn't happened. So he was almost at like 80 years old. I'm not sure of Tom's age, but he's older. He was giddy to to present for you. So that was kind of magical. Like you don't know what to expect because we're all really a bunch of strangers getting together and putting on an amazing show, which an applause to the Seattle Sports Commission. I mean, that was a massive show. I'm so glad that it was a positive experience for you too. It was fun for me as well. And so I think it'll be really fun for our audience to actually see your speech. Okay. So we're gonna cut to it right now. It's a 3-minute speech. You're gonna see these two young men take the stage. There's 1,000 people in the room. Everyone's from the head coach of the Seahawks to agents to players. I mean, it is the who's who of sports in the Seattle region. And they came on and they accepted their speech with grace and with professionalism. And let's take a moment and watch that.
Good job. Thank you so much. Thank you.
We're so glad. Thank you so much. We're truly honored to be receiving this award. Hello, everyone. My name is Justin Rivera, and I'm 16 years old.
And I'm Jacob Rivera, and I'm 14 years old.
Thank you. Our story starts in 2018. I'm nervously waiting to take the soccer field with my 7-year-old brother, Jacob. My mom and dad just bought us these cool, bright blue uniforms. Our team name is the Phantoms, and we feel like the coolest kids on the field. Just a bunch of neighborhood kids united together by our love of playing soccer.
It's the first day. I'm nervous but ready. We take the field and get in position. I scan the pitch and notice every kid's ready to compete and play. I'm so passionate and happy to be on the pitch. The crowd is cheering. We're off, dribbling and passing and having so much fun.
Suddenly, the whistle blows. The ref stops the game, walks over to our teammate Russ, and benches him. His eyes are sad, he's sitting over and confused. Russ couldn't play because he couldn't pay his team dues. And that's not right.
So we come together as a family and pay for Russ's team dues. Russ comes back the next week with his best, but his shoes are worn out and unsafe to play in. That moment changed everything for us.
Russ's story is common. And now we are no longer in a time where kids can come together and play. The costs are overwhelmingly high for team dues, gear, uniforms, the list goes on just to play sports.
By the time most kids reach middle school, you can already tell who had access to sports and who didn't. And it's not due to skill. It's because of money. And that's not right.
That's what drove us to create Level the Field Sports, where we began our mission of making sure every kid gets the chance to play. We've dedicated the last 8 years to this cause, and that's over half of our lives. And yet, there hasn't been a more rewarding feeling of getting to deliver a pair of cleats to a young athlete in need.
While our friends are hanging out, we're in meetings, sorting through equipment and handing it out to these young athletes. We never quit, because sports teaches accountability, determination, and that you don't stop just because things get hard. Sports teaches me the love of the game and the love of my teammates, and the journey keeps unfolding.
And our work doesn't stop here. I'm now teaching high school athletes financial literacy because getting kids on the field is just the beginning. I want to help them gain financial security so they never have to worry about this as adults.
And I'm learning business skills today that I will take into for the rest of my life.
This award means so much more to us than just a trophy. This represents the recognition for all the hard work that everyone at Level the Field Sports has worked for. We want to start by thanking our donors, sponsors, and volunteers. We couldn't have done this without you guys.
Mom, Dad, thank you for your love and guidance. We couldn't have done this without you. You drive us to every practice, every meeting, and every event. You show up for us the same way we showed up for us. Now we know that the super cool blue uniforms that we used to wear weren't free. So thank you. This award is yours too.
And thank you to the Seattle Sports Commission for this incredible award. We are so honored and want to let you know that we are only getting started. Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go. That's how it's done. That's how it's done. And this is a 14 and a 16-year-old that took that stage like they were pros. High five, guys. And now you have the beginnings, and I think you're going to be telling lots of speeches, but you can be doing this with every presentation that you do. You know, it's the same, it's the same idea. And I'm always going to share, like when school happens and it's time to do a presentation and you have to do a pie chart, start with a story that the pie chart's indicating, because that's putting heart behind the chart. So then when you show those numbers, the story is going to make us care about those numbers because you took the time to create a story about what happened. Okay. It's not just the numbers. Everyone's like, oh no, it's the numbers. Everyone's the numbers. It's not. It's the story that the numbers represent. So this is a tool that you will have for the rest of your life. And it's been an honor working with you. What's next for levelthefieldsports.org? What's next for you guys? What do you need? How can we support you?
I guess what's next for us is just the vision that I have is working with the highest amount of sports teams that we can, especially in Seattle. After that event, after the Seattle Sports Commission event, we hope to connect with everybody that we can and just expand. Right now we're operating in King County, but we've helped kids in Pierce County, and kids just outside of King County, and we want to expand our reach and just help as many kids that we can.
And does that happen with funding where people donate, or do you need more volunteers? Like what specifically do we need to do to help you?
I would 100% say funding. Funding is a
Okay.
huge thing when it comes to helping these kids. And then I guess just spreading the word about our work and marketing. That's what we really need. The PR push was what we need to get ourselves out there.
Well, check. I can help you with all three of those. So
Thank you.
So when we post this podcast, a whole bunch of people are going to see it. And pay attention to them. We have a link that will be at the bottom here where you can go and check out and learn more about their organization. And you'll see more about their parents who are, very involved with it. It's such a family endeavor. But I wish you all the best. I think you have such bright futures on so many levels, including your own sports careers. So
Thank you.
thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for being such good, hard workers in everything you do. It's really impressive.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So everyone, that was this episode. We hope you enjoy it. This just shows that you can be a powerful public speaker at any age. At any age. In fact, I thought you were two of the strongest ones in that whole show. So because I was biased, but you were very good. Okay, everyone. Thank you again. And I'll see you at the next episode. So keep watching, comment, share, do all those things. And we will keep this podcast going to help people become more confident in their public speaking. All right. Until then, we'll see you soon.
Thank you for joining the Storyteller's Mind Movie Makers. To build your story library and turn lived experiences into unforgettable mind movies, subscribe, leave a comment or review, and share this podcast. For fast, reliable support and coaching, subscribe to Missy AI, our AI storytelling coach available at storyfruition.com. And don't forget to follow @StoryFruition on YouTube and Instagram for more storytelling tips and live coaching. Thank you for listening. Until next time, keep crafting, keep sharing, and remember, tell your stories and tell them well.